Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. So there is absolute mayhem that is happening in the Indian stock market right now. So as I'm shooting this video on Friday, the Nifty 50 in India has fallen by approximately 1.6%. Adani stocks have been falling, hitting the lower circuit, and some stocks have fallen by 20%. So there is absolute bloodbath that is happening. On top of that, LIC, which had a big exposure to the Adani group stocks, has lost approximately 18,000 crore of public money in the last 2 days. So again, panic happening there. SEBI is increasing its scrutiny on Adani group. They are going to take a look at the Hindenburg report, and all these things combined is causing a mass panic. So comes the natural question that how far are Adani group stocks going to fall? Should I sell it, get out? And second key point is that even if I have zero exposure to Adani group, for example, I do not have even one Adani stock, should I be worried? Is entire Indian stock market going to crash, and to what extent? This is the precise conversation that I'm going to have with you today in simple point-wise format. You will learn a lot of finance. I'm going to explain a lot of complicated financial terms in easy to understand language. But before that, please understand my investing style. I am a diversified investor. If you watch 5-6 of my videos, you will clearly see that I invest in wide variety of assets, wide variety of markets. Why? Because as retail investors, we are the last to know what is the actual reality happening behind the scenes. So even with this entire Adani story, we do not know who is right, Hindenburg is right, or Adani ji is right. How will we know? But by the time we will get to know, these stocks will get stuck in lower circuits and people are going to lose crazy amount of money. So from that respect, you would have seen me that I have been investing heavily in the US market over the last 2 months, and positively in the last 1 month, Nasdaq has started to climb. It has gone up by roughly 12% in the last 1 month alone. Now many people ask me that how do you invest in the US stock markets? What do you buy? What do you not buy? Okay, so I will link some of my vests, and you can check this out on an app called as Vested, who are the sponsors of today's video. You can go and check it out, and if you feel like and if you feel comfortable using the app, you can definitely consider using it. So with that said, let us move on to the main video, and there are 5 simple points that I am going to discuss with you. Point number 1 is that why is it that Adani stocks are falling, and there are wide set of reasons for the same. But the first primary reason, you will say that, you know what, this is like such common sense, because Hindenburg came out with the report, and of course Adani ji got hit. It was an allegation. It hasn't been proven in court yet, but because of that allegation, Adani stocks have fallen quite aggressively. Yes and no. No, because of the fact that tomorrow if I just come and if I start saying some random stuff about some organization, does it mean that that organization stock will fall or get crushed by billions of dollars? The answer is no. It doesn't work like that. If there is no substance to whatever has been said, it is very unlikely that the entire investment community will start believing in that narrative. See, everyone has an agenda, but you need to give your consideration to the one who are proving their agenda with facts and logic. That is the simple request that I have with you. Don't trust whatever I am saying. Look at whatever data and facts I am presenting. So the question is not about who is putting allegation on whom and who is right, who is not. That all data will tell us. But so far the story is that Hindenburg came out with a report. They asked 88 set of questions to Adani Group, and Adani Group has not answered one question as of now. This is a general media statement that they have given, and if you go through it, you will realize that they are just talking in circles. There is nothing substantial in it. On top of this, Adani Group has said that we are going to sue Hindenburg. They said no problem, aajao, sue us, right? We will deal with that. We stand by whatever we have said. So these are the facts of the matter so far, and a large section of investment community looking at the story so far has started to trust the Hindenburg research more. For example, Bill Ackman is a very celebrated hedge fund investor in the US. He's a billionaire, and he also agrees to the fact that Hindenburg report is well researched. SEBI has started looking more into it. So as and when the Hindenburg research gets more stamp of approval, it causes more pain for Adani Group. So now comes the second slightly more technical finance oriented point, which has got to do with FPO. So today on Friday, when I'm shooting this video, 27th of January, the Adani FPO was launched, and there is a period in which this subscription will take place. So very few people subscribed to this FPO. Now you might ask me that what exactly is FPO? So I had made a specific video on this FPO topic a month back. You can go and check it out. The link to that is in the description box and pinned comment. So you'll get an entire understanding, but very quickly explaining, because many of you would not watch that video. So you have IPO, right? So in IPO, what happens is that if a company, for example, Zomato, it was a private company, it launched its share on the public exchange, then public can start participating in it. For example, before IPO of Zomato was launched, you and I could not have invested in that. But once Zomato IPO'd, then you and I, as normal basic retail investors, we could go and buy those stocks. Now in FPO, what happens is that a listed company, for example, Adani ji's companies have been listed on stock exchange for several number of years. It's already a public company. 2 years ago also you could go and buy his stocks. Now also you can do the same. So if such a company releases more shares on the stock market, that is called as follow-on public offer. That is all it means. There are small differences. Again, please go and watch the video. You will understand it. But back to the topic at hand. So this entire FPO game or the expectation from the FPO is that dhamakedar FPO hoga. A lot of people are going to show interest. But unfortunately, people are not showing that level of interest as of now. Yes, it is true that there are few more days to go. It is very likely that the entire issue will get subscribed. No doubt about that. But the performance so far has been very lukewarm and not good to say. So this does not give good indication to the market. Now on top of this, there is a band price issue. So let me quickly explain that. Now you can understand the FPO and band price from the simple example. So consider, for example, any Adani stock. Let's say Adani Green. Hypothetically, it is trading at 100 rupees right now. Then FPO will be lucrative if you are getting to buy that at, let's say, 95 rupees. Otherwise, 100 mein khareedna hota to you can just simply go and buy it today only. No, why would you wait for FPO? But in this, there is a band that has been decided. For example, between 85 to 95 rupees, you will get to buy Adani Green stock if today it is getting at 100 rupees. So that is what FPO issue roughly means. Now what has happened is that after today's stock market fall, that some stocks have fallen by even 20%. So you are anyways getting this for 80. Then why would you go and buy it in this range? So people, HNIs who have bid for it are feeling a little bit bad. So this FPO entire issue is not going well for Adani ji as of now. It is not as if that it will not get fully subscribed. It very well might. I don't know. Maybe not. But people right now are feeling a little bit jittery, especially given the fact that these stocks are hitting lower circuit now. Now the third point is, and this is a personal opinion, that really bad social media management has been done by the firm so far. What do I mean by that? Now many YouTubers are making videos like that, you know what, Adani ji has like 220,000 crore of debt. Tatas have like 380,000 crore of debt. So please read my LinkedIn post here. You will get entire clarity. I have analyzed every single number in it. Now another narrative is being trying to build that, you know what, anyone who criticizes an Indian company is an anti-national, vagera. So I will not get into all this, but the simple point that I'm trying to tell you is that we are proud that Indians are building great companies, but it should be a clean company. That's a simple point, especially when you and I as retail investors are investing in those companies. So anyways, moving on. The fourth reason why Adani stocks are falling quite aggressively is the pledged promoter holding issue. Now this is a very big issue that can blow up if situation does not improve quite aggressively from this point. So how does it play out? Let me explain that. Now if you go on Adani Group's company, you will see this, that pledged percentage. Now what is the meaning of pledged percentage? Pledged percentage simply means that, for example, let's say hypothetically that Adani ji has 100 crores worth of Adani Green stocks. Now he has pledged 4.36 crore worth of Adani Green stocks to whom? To banks. Now why has he pledged it? Because he wanted more money from the banks in form of loans. For example, if you and I have a house, and if we want a loan against that house, we can go to a bank and we can mortgage that house. What will the bank do? Bank will say that, you know, Akshat, take like 2 lakh rupees and now we own your house papers. And when you are able to repay us, come back to us, repay us, and then the house is yours. We'll give you your papers back. Now, something similar happens in publicly listed company. This is a common mechanism. Now, is pledge promoter holding good or bad? Well, generally speaking, it is bad. One should not pledge their company's holding because it does not reflect well. So this is one general consensus that is there. A more aggressive or a more troublesome point in Adani Group's case is that now these stocks have corrected by 20%. Now, if a stock has corrected by 20%, what is going to happen to this pledge? For example, this 4.36 crore, what is the value that becomes? It will fall by 20%, right? But the loan that has been taken against it, let's say that Adani ji took like, let's say 5 crore rupee loan, that still stays outstanding in 5 crores, right? So the bank starts to panic. They think that, you know what? Today, this has fallen by 20%. The value of my collateral has gone down by 20%. And if tomorrow again this stock falls by 20%, then my collateral value will again go down by 20%. So they start to panic. The bankers do not have that type of vision that, you know what, okay, as a promoter, I am willing to hold my company for 20 years. I'm a long-term player, this, that. No, banks do not have that vision. Their simple goal is, we have lent you money. We want to be reasonably sure that we will get our money back. If tomorrow the risk assessment team of the bank management tells them that that, you know what, the market mein hawa is such that we are not going to get our money back. What are they going to do? They will start selling these stocks, and it becomes a big problem for the company that has pledged. Now, if Bank A sells some part of their pledged promoter holding stocks, then what do you think Bank B is going to do? They are going to do exactly the same. Then what do you think Bank C is going to do? They are going to do exactly the same. If 3 banks are doing it, what do you think other big FIIs, DIIs are going to do? They are going to do exactly the same. So this is how panic happens in the market. Now, unfortunate part is that today's aggressive fall indicates that some big investor has sold their holding. Now, this data is very hard to get, that who exactly has sold, but let me show you the volumes figure and you will understand a little bit of story there. Now, this is the Adani Green Energy Limited stock, and what you will see is that this was literally a free fall. A lot of selling has happened, but look at the volume with which this selling has come. Now, small retail investors, it is highly unlikely that they will be able to generate such a large volume. So therefore, it indicates that some big player might have sold this. Now, who is that big player? We don't know. Data will come out subsequently. But this is where we are heading in terms of volume. Now, in case you want to learn volume chain analysis, you want to learn macro style of investing, you want to learn technical style of investing. So I teach that on my course on stock markets. You can go and check it out. There is a very helpful community that we have built. Now, moving on to the second point, that what will be the impact of Adani Group's fall on the entire Indian stock market. So well, today the Indian stock market, or Nifty 50 so to say, fell by roughly 1.61, and Adani stocks on an average fell by 15-16% at least. So even like 20% on some stocks. So there is a huge discrepancy here. Had it been the case that the Nifty has fallen by 10% and Adani stocks have fallen by 15-20%, okay, that would have made sense that Adani is having a lot of impact on the Indian equity market. But as of now, it looks to be an okay situation. Now, one of the key things that is preventing this fall is that right now people believe that Indian banks have limited exposure to Adani debt. So even if you assume the worst, that, you know, SEBI comes, investigates, all fair investigation is done, something deep, murky comes out, all that stuff, Adani's default on banks' debt, the consideration is that banks are going to handle it. This is the key thing that is preventing the Indian stock market right now. And this piece of analysis is very difficult to do. So there is no point in me getting into the numbers, but let me show you some data here. So first and foremost, if you take a look at this article, what you will see is that as per CLSA, it is said that the bank funding in overall Adani Group debt is less than 40%. And who owns majority of the debt? It is the foreign banks. It is the financial institution. And a large part of global debt market owns Adani debt. Okay, so that is sensible. But here is an entire counter argument to that story. Now, when bad loan problem happens in bank, what it leads to is something called as domino effect. So domino falls something like this. So I will put an image here and you will be able to understand it. So usually what happens is that let's say that bank A has 2% bad debt problem with Adani Group. Now Adani Group defaults, then this bank is going to lose this 2% money. Now the thing is that this bank will lose some of its valuation. So today a lot of banks lost their valuation. Now in case more firms default, for example, Adani is linked to some other firm that defaults, then third firm, fourth firm, fifth firm, they default. So this exposure is not just 2%. This might go up to 5 to 7 or even 10-20% of the debt. In that event, this bank might entirely go under. Now, because banks interlend to each other, interlending means that ICICI gives money to HDFC, HDFC gives money to Kotak Mahindra Bank, so on and so forth. A lot of banks can get exposed to this domino. Now, this is something similar that happened in 2008 also. That is where domino effect was exhibited, and not only the US banks got crushed, a lot of banks in India got crushed as well because of that US-centric problem. So the point is that the entire global banking structure, so to say, especially between India and the US, that works in conjunction. So this is a deeply worrying sign. I can't extract that data and tell you that what is the probability of this happening, but please keep in mind that there is a probability that this can happen. And that is precisely the reason why the banking stocks today fell quite aggressively. Now, on top of this, what is likely to happen is that there are large institutional investors. For example, LIC has its entire 7% of its equity portfolio in Adani stocks. Now, why have they purchased so much of Adani stocks? I have no clue. But to cut the long story short, if even one bank gets stressed due to the Adani loan problem, it is very likely that their series of banks are going to sell the Adani stocks because they own a lot of pledged stocks. And even if one bank gets into trouble, that can just escalate the domino effect, reaching all the way up to LIC, where it might be forced to sell and salvage whatever it can get. Now, this is how bad the situation can get. So now comes the next point, that how likely is this situation? Now, this is a little bit complicated topic to discuss because we are doing scenario analysis. So I will try to present present a very neutral viewpoint. See, up until Thursday, I was of the view that it is very, very unlikely that large institutional investors are going to sell Adani stocks. Why was that the case? Simply because of the viewpoint that Adani Group itself has a lot of holding. They control almost 75% of the stocks. Again, please go and watch my previous video on this topic. You will understand that. So that is promoter holding. Then as per the allegations, there are shell companies. So they also hold it. Then on top of that, LIC is unlikely to sell Adani stocks. And on top of that, even banks are going to suffer if they decide to sell their pledged promoter holding. So I was of the view that no institutional investor is going to sell. But unfortunately, on Friday, two major changes happened. Point number one is that SEBI came and it said that they are going to look into Hindenburg report. Now, this is not an approval of the Hindenburg report. And on the flip side, this is not a denial. But the investor community or a big part of investor community has taken it as a viewpoint that this is a stamp of approval, which has caused mass panic and some big investor has sold Adani stocks. This is really big and worrying news that has played out. Now, I don't know who specifically has sold it. I will keep you posted on this. But with the volumes that Adani stocks have been sold at, despite the FPO getting launched, where the group must have pushed their institutional buyers to stabilize the stock, even if the situation is not getting under control, it indicates something deep. Now, just for understanding, three things could have played out. That number one, status quo would have been maintained. Status quo means कि जैसा चल रहा है चलने दो, right? Nothing is changing. Just keep it the way it is functioning. And response to here would have been that, Adani ji is saying something, answering questions, and Hindenburg is saying something and answering questions. None of the external parties are involved. Now, unfortunately, what has happened is that SEBI has said that we are going to look into it. Now, I don't know whether we can categorize that as investigation, what specific terminology we can use. Now, politicians might drum up, all that stuff will be there. So if we reach this stage, this leads to a period of uncertainty, and stock markets hate uncertainty. The moment there is uncertainty, there is wide panic that happens. That has happened all the times because there is people's money at stake. So people just hate uncertainty about their money. They get deeply worried if it reaches to an investigation stage, which is where this case might actually get headed, unless of course Adani Group comes out, give clarification on those 88 points. The investor community starts to believe in it and the frenzy dies down. So I really hope that that happens. Now, in case if that is not happening or if the answers are not satisfactory, then at some stage stamping will happen. So stamping means कि कौन सही है, who is right, who is wrong, all that stuff. So who would do the stamping? Well, whoever does it subsequently in 2024, 2025, 2028, we don't know. But there will be a massive period of uncertainty that will happen and that will just crush the stock. And especially given the fact around the pledged promoter holding thing that banks own a lot of Adani Group stocks, and if the collateral value falls, some big players are going to start selling it. And that is how you see stocks getting crushed by 80% also. Can that happen on Adani ji's case? I think now it predominantly hinges on what the response to those 88 questions will be. I think they must be preparing this at the back end. So let's just wait and watch and see what happens. But till that point, those 88 questions are not answered, it becomes a very bad talking point. Now I know a lot of you might be thinking that, this is like an operator's game because operators might be selling it. They will buy it at lower prices, they will make a lot of money. Well, that is true that that type of stuff happens. It might be happening in this case also, but it cannot happen at such a large scale. It is highly unlikely that a lot of institutional investors, especially on a stock that is driven by a lot of debt, because Adani ji has a lot of debt, I don't think that that level of game would be played out, especially given the fact that not too many FIIs and DIIs own this stock. So now comes the next point, that what is it that you should be doing if you're an investor in the Adani group of companies right now? Well, honestly, I've been making videos for the last several months. Almost it has been like 6-7 months that I've spoken about the group, that please do not buy deeply leveraged assets. Deeply leveraged things means that debt ले लेके काम करेंगे and we are going to borrow crazy amount of money, become a monopoly. These type of businesses are not good. Even if they are giving crazy amount of money, you are just taking too much risk with your money that you should not be taking risk. If you're going in some other asset class, for example, if you go and buy cryptos, if you go and buy undeveloped land, if you go and buy like some kind of farmland, you know that you're taking risk there. But in the stock market, so unless you're going and buying a small cap company that can give crazy returns, that makes sense. But why would you go and buy a large cap company that is so heavily leveraged? So again, I'm not saying that, this was a right move, wrong move, but honestly, I can't say anything. I hope whatever I have discussed so far, it will give you clarity and you might make a call, but I will not give any call here or any recommendation to buy or sell. Now comes the second point for investors for whom this video was made, that if you're worried that, I have zero exposure to Adani stocks or very little exposure, but I am generally invested in the Indian stock market, should I panic? Short answer is no, you should not panic. There can be a period of pain, maybe 6, 8, 10 months, 12 months, whatever it is. Please do not sell anything. These are not the type of markets where you should monitor your portfolio, what is happening, what is not happening, how much money have I lost today. Please don't worry about it. If the stock market has fallen by 2% in a day, it can easily go up to even 4 or 5% rise in the overall scenario. So pick good stocks right now. What good stocks are? I will discuss some of these stocks on tomorrow's member community post. So you could consider joining it. But to cut the long story short, please do not panic sell anything that you have. Please don't stop your SIPs. Please don't do any of this stuff. It is very, very difficult to time. If you go away from the market, you will not be able to time when you should be entering the market. So just stay put, stop checking your portfolio. That is the simple piece of advice that I will give you. So now comes the fifth point, that is there any ray of hope how this situation can be quickly turned around? So number one is the budget announcement. If the government controls the sentiments or manages the sentiments, so to say, by introducing a good budget that people are generally happy about, then that can create into a positive effect for the entire market. For Adani Group, I don't know, but that can definitely translate into good optimism for the entire market. And I get a sense that this is likely to happen. But since I can't back it up with data, please disregard that. That is just my personal viewpoint, telling it to you very categorically. The second key thing is that 85, 88 questions that Hindenburg has asked. If a response is generated swift, if good response is presented, if the data is categorically refuted, that will instill a lot of investor confidence. I don't know if they plan on doing it, if they want to fight the case legally, whatever it is. But if the case gets dragged on in courts, then we are looking at a massive correction in the stock. So this is where I'll stop. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Do let me know in the comment box and please like and comment on this video, and I will see you the next time.